Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode. We are talking to D. Shivakumar, who is the Chief Strategy Officer for Aditya Birla Group, a role he's taken on a little over a month ago. And we're not going to talk so much about Aditya Birla Group. I want to tap into his brain for his understanding on the changing marketplace, on the changing consumer, on changing media patterns, and hopefully all of you will learn a lot from this conversation. Shiv, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
To begin with, tell our viewers what your new role in Aditya Birla Group entails.
Okay. I've just joined the Aditya Birla Group on January 1 as President for Strategy and Business Development based out of Mumbai.
Right. And what will that entail?
Looking after the strategy and the business development for the group and the various companies in the group. That's
right.
What it is.
So we'll go into a deeper sort of understanding of that maybe a few months down the road.
Yeah. Thank you.
But for today, let's understand from you things outside perhaps of Aditya Birla Group, but to the world in general. The first thing I want to ask you, Shiv, the changing role of the CEO. There are so many changes in the ecosystem, in the economy, in digitization, in tech. All these things have necessitated great changes in the role of the CEO. So I want you to describe how has the CEO's role changed?
Yeah. So if you look at the CEO's role, first, to most people in a company or society, a CEO's role is very aspirational.
Right.
Extremely aspirational. It's almost a thankless job, and very few people understand the pressures of being a CEO. Okay, the CEO in today's terms has to be an outstanding builder of the ecosystem. He has to build very good relationship with all stakeholders, whether it's media, whether it's the financial analysts, whether it's the government, whether it's the regulators, everybody. So he has to be a master collaborator, because the days of saying I will grow on my own are over. The days of independent growth are over.
Right.
Okay. Today is the day of dependent growth. So you have to work with various partners in the ecosystem. This happens automatically in the technology space, but in the FMCG space it's happening right now. Thanks to digital, thanks to modern trade, thanks to e-commerce. Now people are realizing that, hey, I need to collaborate a lot more. Mm-hmm. Okay. So in a sense, this the CEO has to be a collaborator, which is C. He has to be a big cushion. Okay. He's the guy who has to absorb a lot of what's happening. In terms of E, execution is absolutely key. Second is empathy and engagement.
Right.
Today, every survey says that more than 80% of people are disengaged in the workplace. And the CEO has to set the tone in terms of the engagement that he does in the organization and outside of it. And of course, O is optimizing the resources. He has to optimize the resources, because the same way of allocating resource will not get you different results. So he has to really take a few bets here and a few bets there. That's what he truly needs to do. If you look at the big changes, what you're talking about, the world is getting disrupted very fast. So which means there's lots of information being thrown at you. So many times the CEO has to take a decision with less than full information.
Right.
Okay. So decision making skills between him and his team and the organization have to move up dramatically, both in time.
Does that mean the top has to become much flatter?
Yes.
In any organization?
In any organization. I think in the classical old mold, you would have 10 levels or 10 layers, etc. Today, I think most companies are saying we are happy with 4 or 5 levels and let's get going.
Is that even too much?
If you're in a very fast-paced industry, a fast life cycle industry, then that's too much.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
How much time does a CEO need to spend on internal issues? How much on external? Now, you just spoke of these partnerships, and the first 4 or 5 partners you named, almost all were external partners as opposed to internal stakeholders. So roughly how does one allocate one's time as a CEO?
I would say if a CEO had 100 units of time, I would say 50 would be spent on internal reviews, okay, checking whether the basic numbers are happening, how they're happening, the process meetings, the review meetings, the people meetings, etc. That's what he would do. About 25% would be external facing meetings. And another 25%, which a lot of people don't do, Anant, is you have to think about the future.
Right.
The CEO's job is just not about doing today's number and meeting somebody for today. So you have to allocate your time as 50% internal, 25% external, and about 25% thinking about the future for the last 15 years.
Okay, you know, coming to my area of knitting, so to say, you know, increasingly I'm interacting more with CEOs and CXOs certainly, as far as marketing and advertising is concerned. And they're playing a much larger role in advertising and marketing decisions than was the case, say, 15 years ago, where a brand manager was taking decisions and he was the one interacting. Why is that happening, and do you see that more and more a CEO's responsibility as well?
Sure. If you looked about 5-10 years ago, if the CEO had a marketing background, he would get involved with the campaigns.
Right.
That's basically because you would make 1 or 2 campaigns a year for a big brand. You take any of the top 100 brands in this country, at best they would have 1 big campaign or 2 big campaigns.
Right.
And so rightfully the CEO got involved. Somebody would show him the brief, somebody would show him the creative, somebody would show him the final product, etc. That was fine. Today, in a digital world, you are reacting almost every day. It's not 2 campaigns. You have 365 campaigns if you want. Something happens today, you can comment on it. It's very much like the way Amul does its physical campaign out of every topical event. Today, a good brand team can do 365 ideas out there and do it. It's humanly not possible for the CEO to do that today.
Right.
Okay, because things are moving so fast. But the CEO, I believe, has the responsibility to clear and see all the advertising which is being put out on behalf of his company and brand. Basically because he is finally the owner of the communication which is going out. If something is sensitive to society or something has another angle to it, he is the person who should stop it at that level. I'm not saying he should approve it, but he should definitely know what's happening. You see all the campaigns which have happened in the recent past, the H&M, this, that, etc., where people have said, hey, what were these guys doing?
Right.
How could they even release this?
Right.
Okay, so I think the CEO today has a moral responsibility to society, which he didn't have, which he didn't have as a box in the past.
So, but you're underlining that he should not be approving every campaign and so on, but he should look at every campaign.
Yeah,
which means
he should know what's going on.
there could be campaigns which he doesn't like, he should just ignore it. But if it is irresponsible or dangerous, he should stop it. Is that
absolutely
interpretation correct?
Yeah, because finally he'll be the guy on the line who will have to answer the media and society. The brand manager won't answer, the marketing manager won't answer. It will be the CEO who will have to answer that.
So Shiv, coming to area of your expertise where you spent some decades now, the FMCG market is seeing some extraordinary changes. I mean, you're looking at, for example, your previous company, Pepsi, selling through e-commerce. You see chocolates selling on e-commerce. You see cars selling on e-commerce, and that's not FMCG, but there are huge new channels being opened and created and so on. So where do you see this headed?
Okay, so if you look at the FMCG market, where I've spent some time, it's about a $65 billion market in India, sold through 9.9 million retail outlets. Average turnover per retailer is 26,000 rupees, which means it's very, very small. Okay, it has about 1,700 odd companies. Of them, only 370 companies have a turnover of more than 10 crores.
Right.
Okay, 380 companies have a turnover of more than 10 crores. Right. The balance 1,300 have a turnover of less than 10 crores. Now, if you look at the last 20 years of what's happened in FMCG, first we had global brands with global aspiration and global mixes. Then thanks to television and thanks to regional television and local television, everything went local. Now we are going hyper local. Okay, so I personally believe that FMCG will get more and more local because now technology is available.
When you say more and more local, are you saying more and more localized brands?
Yes,
or
more and more localized offerings and more localized brands.
Right.
Okay, so I think both will happen concurrently. Okay,
so, for example, just a provocation, could we see a Pepsi variant which will be sold only in Tamil Nadu and nowhere else in the world?
Yes, there are many products like that right now in the country.
Right.
And traditionally, tea has had that in the past.
Right.
For example, if you went to Maharashtra or Gujarat, you would have a particular type of sapat mixture.
Right.
Or a wag bakri something, which was a combination which was attuned to the taste profile of the Gujarati or the Maharashtrian.
Sure.
Okay, so similarly, if you take a drink like jeera, it's possible that it's available only in some pockets in this country. Okay, so you will get more and more hyper local. Okay, this is happening, I think, across the board right now. Okay, so hence marketeers have to be so much more attuned to the fine taste out there. Is it big enough to have an offering, okay, standalone, or is it just about enough to just have a variant and produce it and market it there? Okay, that's what it is. If you look at the the profile of the retailers, of the 9.9 million retail outlets that FMCG is sold through, there are about 6.6 million grocers and 2.5 million pawn shops. Okay. Now the point you're making, now you have e-commerce, now you have modern trade. Modern trade got the ultimate tailwind with demonetization. Once demonetization happened, modern trade hasn't looked back.
Right.
There are 12,000 outlets. In some categories, they contribute 5% to total sales. In some categories, they contribute 40% to total sales. Okay. So modern trade doing great right now. Okay. The retail outlets have been growing at about 1% per annum for the last 5-6 years. Do I see the retail outlets growing? I don't think so. Right. I think there will be some degree of consolidation. Right. Now comes e-commerce, the point you're making. I believe e-commerce is the ultimate in terms of convenience to consumers. Okay, I believe e-commerce has 3 big buckets. The way I look at it, one, buying boring items.
Right.
Okay, you want to buy a dustbin, you want to buy a broom, you want to buy something else. Just click, it comes home.
Right.
You don't need to be seen carrying it.
Right.
Okay. Second is bulky items.
Right.
A great example is diapers. Okay, you have a kid at home, you know you have to have X number of diapers for the whole month. So again, that you order, one of the fastest selling items. Third is what I call consumption items. So I call this BBC, okay, boring, bulky and consumption items.
You're competing with Venkaiah Naidu now in terms of acronyms.
So consumption items. Okay, now here's the thing. When it's convenient, most people tend to shop for 2 days, 3 days or whatever it is. Now if you are a millennial, if you are a double income, no kids family, etc., you will shop for a week and put the whole thing there. So suddenly you'll buy water for a week, you'll buy milk for a week, etc. So e-commerce actually has the huge benefit of driving consumption in India.
Right.
Which I think very few people are recognizing. So now you need to give people a reason to say, hey, 6 days of health, of healthy oil, okay, 6 days of some cooked meals, or 6 days of water, or 6 days of juice, or whatever it is. Okay, if you do that, I think you'll drive consumption.
Right.
Okay. Unfortunately, everybody has got, as it happens all the time in India, Anand, everybody goes into a price war.
Right.
Okay, and I think that destroys value. Now, in the old days, you could have a price war and still come back and start gaining. Today, the world is so disruptive.
It just keeps going downhill.
Absolutely, it's going downhill.
Right.
So, getting the right business model, okay, whether you are in traditional retail, whether you are in modern retail, whether you are in e-commerce is absolutely important. Right. Your cost of customer acquisition and your cost of delivery cannot ever, be more than your margin.
Right.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people are making that mistake today. Okay, and they will pay the price.
Right. I have a wonderful clarity on the size of the market. The moment anybody does anything, we say 1,250 crore, million Indians. And you have a point of view on that, which you articulated very simply. Can you please articulate that? I know it is. It's like a sort of almost an island in a print page for a highlighted bit, and I want you to articulate the size of the market in your view.
Whenever people look at India, they start with the assumption that there are 1,250 million people.
Right.
That's fantastic. Okay, so somebody will say, you know what? There are 800 million SIM cards.
Right.
And then somebody will say, but that's we still have an opportunity for 450.
Correct.
And I think a lot of people make the mistake. You take away the 0 to 4 age group. You take away people beyond 65, 70. For many, many categories, you're finally left with actually 600 to 700 million people.
Right, right.
That's what the addressable market is. So if you look at FMCG specifically, penetration in almost every category, Anant, is ahead of 90%.
Right.
Penetration defined as bought in the last 1 week, used in the last 1 week, or used in the last 1 month, or used in the last quarter. Okay. So penetration is very high. So now what needs to be done? There are only 2 things you can do once your penetration is very high. You can get the same consumer to consume more. So somebody who's washing their hair twice a week, how do you get them to wash it thrice a week? Okay, that's simple. That's consumption. Okay, somebody who has 5 shirts, how do you get him to buy the 6th shirt or the 7th shirt or whatever it is? Then for the same consumer, how do you get a higher value? And that higher value is through premiumization. So the only 2 routes to go when your penetration is extremely high is either the consumption route or the premium route or a combination of the 2, which is what everybody is trying to do right now. Okay, so that's where we are. So 1250 includes babies born yesterday.
Right. Okay. Right. Absolutely. Now, I want to go a little deeper into that. This penetration issue, because data says 91% penetration in this category, 87 somewhere else, 92 somewhere else, and everybody's lulled into thinking there's not much more headroom. But if you overlay penetration with consumption, then you say there's a lot of headroom.
Yeah.
Like we were discussing earlier before this interview, if can you get Indians to brush their teeth 6 times a day?
Yeah.
Once when you wake up, once after breakfast, once before lunch, once after lunch, and so on. So are they missing that, a lot of marketers?
It is yes and no.
Right.
There's a function of product, there's a function of category, there's a function of income. Okay, the average Indian household expenditure in urban India is about 2,640 rupees, of which 40% is spent on food, the bulk of it, etc. So how much does 2,600 rupees take you? So people make those choices to say, okay, maybe I'm happy here, etc. But as the income curve moves up, as more and more people become more affluent, you will definitely see that. Right. You'll definitely see that happening. And I believe that's a big opportunity.
Right.
So you have to consistently give people the reason why they should consume the category. Okay.
Again, and repeatedly sometimes.
Yeah. For example, I believe the what's happening with Uber, Ola, etc. is a great example right now. Okay. So it's quite likely that in the past you wouldn't have taken so much transportation as a mode, but today people just do it.
Absolutely.
They've just got very used to it because it's so convenient. Okay, and you don't need to rely on anything else. You don't need to rely on public transport or a friend's car or your own car today. Okay, so making it very easy for the consumer actually drives consumption. Absolutely.
Shiv, continuing with the discussions on FMCG, you've been long evangelizing the use of mobile marketing, especially when you wear your other hat as the MMA head in India. So tell me, what will mobile marketing do for FMCG in your opinion?
Yeah, I believe the ultimate thing about mobiles is it's extremely personal. Okay, a mobile is only yours, number one. Number two, you can't do without a mobile. I remember years ago we did a study. We took away the mobile phones from people. Okay, in a matter of 15 minutes, people said, you've taken away my life from me. So a mobile phone is like a soulmate virtually. Okay, even if you're sitting where there's no network, you're constantly seeing your pictures, you're constantly seeing your SMSs, your WhatsApp messages, whatever it is.
Right.
Okay, that's what a mobile phone does to you. It's your ultimate soulmate. So first thing, you add location to it, then you get context straight off. Okay, you are sitting here in Bombay, Prabha Devi.
Right.
Now I can do anything around trying to sell you in and around Prabha Devi based on your interests.
Right.
Okay. Next, you add data analytics to it. Based on your behavior of the past, we know exactly, okay, how Anant Rangaswamy will behave, okay, in this situation or that situation. So I can bombard you with a lot of messages, every single thing targeted only for you and not mass. The ultimate beauty of mobile marketing is it can be 1 to 1, it can be 1 to a billion. Both options are possible. Next, the phone itself has evolved dramatically. Okay, every single thing has come through on the phone today. Okay, so whether it is entertainment, whether it is this thing, and I think the data revolution in this country has really taken off right now. So I would believe that if you look at millennials today, very few people watch television. Very few people. Most of their information is either on the social network.
I hope you mean television content on the television.
On the television content on the television.
Right.
Absolutely right.
Right.
So most of the content they consume is either social networks or their friends or word of mouth or something like that.
Right.
So the mobile phone has become their window to the world in every single way. So if you're not able to capture that, okay, I don't think you will address your audiences, specifically millennials. Okay, absolutely important.
Which is the future of your business anyway.
Absolutely. And the screen, this is going to be the most costly real estate in the future.
Right.
Trying to get your app into this is going to be absolutely fundamental.
Thank you so much for watching, and there's a lot more to come from Shiv, and catch another episode of my conversation with Shiv